This is Zach Currier, and you're listening to Pro Lacrosse Talk.
On Schreiber. Sidearm whip. Scores. Now in front. Pannell scores. Hands off for Rabel. Switches hands and scores.
Kylie O'Miller showing off those shifty skills.
Right off the bat, there's Lyle Thompson.
All right, welcome to Pro Lacrosse Talk, the voice of Pro Lacrosse. I'm Hutton. He's Adam. Together, we're bringing you interviews with your favorite players and coaches, as well as news from all 4 professional lacrosse leagues. Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Pro Lacrosse Talk. We are fresh off the heels of the PLL Entry Draft, and we'll be talking all things PLL today, as well as bringing you some reactions from some players who were drafted on Monday. Today, I'm joined by Adam, my co-host, as well as our guest, PLL analyst Joe Keegan. Joe, thanks for joining us today.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys.
No, of course, we're glad to have you on. You know, we've appreciated all the breakdowns and analysis you've been doing leading up to the draft, and looking forward to get your quick thoughts from the entry draft this Monday.
Yeah, it was a quick draft. A lot of talent coming into the league, so a lot of teams got better tonight.
Absolutely, and we know that you were really singing Zach Currier's praises. He went number 1 overall. I will read off the rest of the list right now. We had Zach Currier, number 1 to the Waterdogs. Jesse Bernhardt, number 2 to the Chrome. Rob Pannell dropped to 3 with the Atlas, so he gets his wish there. Eli Gobrecht was taken by the Archers at 4. And then we had Zed Williams with the Whipsnakes. Finn Sullivan with the Redwoods. Dillon Ward with the Chaos. And then round 2, Ryland Rees with the Waterdogs. Donnie Moss with the Chrome. Craig Chick with the Atlas. Christian Mazzone with the Archers. TJ Camizio with the Whipsnakes. Greg Puskalagian with the Redwoods. And Jason Noble taken with the Chaos. So first off, let's start off with Currier, Joe. You were really singing his praises, talking him up. Tell us what makes him the perfect fit for Coach Copelan's squad.
Oh, I don't think it's just Coach Copeland's squad. I think it's the entire league, right? Like, watch the way that this game was played last year. The 2 best teams, in my opinion, in transition were the teams that made it to the championship. Now, the numbers bear that out. The 2 best transition defenses were the Whips and the Redwoods. The 2 worst transition defenses missed the postseason. It was Atlas and the Chrome. So you have a guy like Currier on your squad. Obviously, you're going to defend face-off losses really well with a guy like that on the wing who can get back into the hole. If he's playing your 6-on-6 offense, you're defending after your turnovers, after your saves. And in the same sense, we saw Currier play strictly towards 17 midi for Team Canada in 2018. Mm-hmm. And he can push, turn that defense into offense. So if you're winning in those 2 areas of the game, fast break offense, fast break defense, then you're in really good shape in this league. So Coach Copeland, like you said, yeah, perfect fit for the league, but more specifically for this team, the way that he wants to play some 2-way middies. He wants to play Danny Drew Snyder, Kyle McClancy, Ryan Conrad, those types of roles. And Zach Currier's, a fifth versatile midfielder for him.
Absolutely. And, not many people remembered either that Zach Currier can face off too if needed. Obviously they have a face-off guy on there with Drew Simino. Yeah. But, you got Zach Currier too. He does it all, and he's proven that at Princeton. He's proven that in the pros as well, with the Outlaws. So, yeah, I think he's a great fit. And now, Adam, you correctly predicted that Currier would go number 1, and you also nailed that Bernhardt would go to the Chrome and, then Pannell to the Atlas. Why do you think these 2 players are a good fit for their respective teams?
Yeah, Bernhardt was a fantastic player in the MLL, and that Chrome squad is really looking to replace a guy like Joe Fletcher after his retirement. So he just seemed like a seamless fit to go in there, and the addition of Donnie Moss in the 2nd round also shows that concentration on the defensive side of the ball. So both great pickups for the Chrome on the D side, and obviously Rob Pannell, not much to say when it comes to why he was a perfect fit for that Atlas squad. They have their ex-attackman now, and he joins the likes of the rest of that 2018 USA squad that brought home the gold. Seamless fit for the Atlas.
And Joe, what are your thoughts on Pannell to the Atlas? Obviously, many people wanted to see it. He gets his wish. He falls there to 3. Obviously a great fit. Do you think the Chrome ever considered picking Pannell? We know they already have a guy kind of similar in skill set with Jordan Wolf. Or do you think they were just set on Bernhardt from the start?
So I think they were set on Bernhardt from the start, but they also explored other ways to get Bernhardt. Maybe start a little bit of a bidding war between the Archers and the Atlas, right? Mm-hmm. If anybody wants to trade up. The problem there is if the Archers traded up from 4 to 2 and took Rob Pannell, then the Atlas was going to take Jesse Bernhardt, so the Chrome wouldn't get their guy.
Gotcha.
So neither team really wanted to trade up. The Archers might have wanted to. The Atlas knew they didn't need to because if Chrome traded down, Chrome wouldn't get their guy. So, yeah, long story short, they were set on Jesse Bernhardt. And when they realized that there wasn't a way that they could get him and trade down, they were plenty happy just taking him and adding another player from that 2018 Team USA defense. They have Galloway and Cage, Will Haas, Joel White, and Jesse Bernhardt now. That's looking like a pretty good defense, and that's obviously an area of need. They had the best settled offense last year, so I don't think they needed to add Rob Pannell. Tried to make it fit, but I don't think it was ever in Coach Sudan's plans.
No, absolutely, and he gets, a defensive stalwart in Jesse Bernhardt, and, his guy Donnie Moss, who, he coached in the Rattlers for a few years, too, in the MLL, so a lot of people left him off the draft board, myself included. I thought he might go to maybe the Chrome or to the Chaos, but Coach Sudan got his guy, and he's, putting together a good-looking squad, very familiar to what we saw when he was coaching in Rochester. So it's going to be a whole new look, I think, for the Chrome, despite, them returning a lot of these guys. I think, Coach Sudan's really got his group that he wants to take into the summer.
Yeah, he's got a really good group, and they're all fired up to play for him. And Donnie Moss, like you said, is one of his guys. He knows his guys. Jesse Bernhardt might not have been a guy that he's coached before, but I think that defense is confident that Bernhardt will gel with the rest of them.
No, absolutely. And, we had some great fits, and then we had a few surprises, too. So I'll ask you first, Joe, and then we'll go into you, Adam. Which picks kind of shocked you in this draft?
I guess the first shocking pick would have been Dillon Ward to the Chaos. So the big thing for Coach Towers, right, was finding somebody who's going to fit on the 18-man roster. There's no use in spending that pick on somebody who might be an occasional game day player, but for the most part a practice squad player. Backup goalie was obviously a need. I don't think Dillon Ward's backup goalie in this league. He was all world in 2018. He's a starting goalie, but for right now he's going to back up the goalie of the year. Coach Towers found value because now he has a goalie that he can dress. Anywhere else, I don't know that he would have found somebody who was going to dress. He could have picked a pole, but he has a strong group. Offensively, he has a ton of weapons. It's going to be tough to crack that lineup as it is, so he didn't need to bring anyone in. The one guy I thought that he might take would be TJ Comizio as a replacement for Kyle McClancy.
Yep.
Obviously, a great takeaway guy, very physical defender. Would have paired nicely with Mark Listini at short 6D mid, but I think Coach Towers is confident in the guys that he has at short 6D mid, so he went to pick somebody to round out his 18-man roster.
Absolutely. I thought he might go with Comizio. I thought maybe he might take a poll too, like Jason Noble, who ended up getting later in the second round. I thought that was a good fit for him to grab, especially being in the toughest spot with drafting at 7 and 14. But Adam, what were some of the shocking picks that you kind of had?
Yeah, kind of to be honest with you, I'm reiterating what Joe just said was the Dillon Ward pick. The fact that he's been a goalie of the year, all world in previous stints was the surprise. But it makes complete sense when Joe breaks it down that he was looking for Coach was looking for an opportunity to add someone to that roster, and Dillon Ward would be that guy. I was looking at Ryland Rees potentially at that spot too, based off of the makeup, but Dillon Ward makes complete sense. But like you said, Joe, when you're bringing in an all-world goalie and you already have the reigning goalie of the year, it'll be an interesting competition.
Yeah, and there might be some pressure on Coach Towers to play Dillon Ward and run some attack.
Yeah, I know. That would be very fun to see. And I could even see, maybe them going with a dual goalie set, kind of like we saw with the Archers. I think they're both kind of a little bit of different style, too. So who knows what we'll see with that. But going off of the shockers, who do you guys think did really, really well in this draft, at least filling their needs? Obviously with the top 3 guys that went, they were going to kind of make an impact no matter what. But there were some other teams that really made the most of what picks they were dealt. And which teams do you think those were?
Yeah, I'd say the Whip Snakes, even though they were outside that top 3, like you said, coaches across the league really identified Currier, Bernhardt, Pannell as the 3 game changers. And then everybody after that was kind of a tier down. But the Whipsnakes being able to add Zed Williams in the first round and then TJ Comizio is huge, right? They lost 4 guys to the Waterdogs, 4 offensive guys. They needed to kind of bring in anybody who can produce some points, especially with the status of the college draft with these seniors up in the air. We don't know who they'll be able to add. They are banking on Brad Smith being back. He sat out all last year with an injury. They have some guys, who didn't really crack the lineup regularly, like Jake Carlson can play down low on attack. You bring in Zed Williams. Now all of a sudden they're piecing together their 6-on-6 offense. And with Comizio, we might see Jake Bernhardt turn into more of a 2-way role or an offensive midfield role. He played mostly strictly defensive midfield for them last year, but we know how versatile he is.
Yeah, no, for sure. And we're looking forward to, I know we'll get to some sound from some of these guys a little bit later, but Jesse said him and Will Haas are really looking forward to their matchup with Jake and John against the Whipsnakes. So that'll be a nice sibling rivalry. What about you, Adam? Who do you think really kind of, I wouldn't say won. I think every team kind of did really well in this draft, but who do you think really filled their needs the best?
Yeah, when you talk about filling needs, I think the Redwoods absolutely did just that. Finn Sullivan, we'll see what happens with Matt Landis coming next season, and if he's unavailable, Finn Sullivan can fill that role right away, and one Greg retires, one Greg comes in at the faceoff X for the Redwoods, right? And they fill that role, and Greg Puskeljian is an awesome veteran presence to add to that roster of already stacked veteran presence. So I'm excited to see what he does at the X, and the Redwoods, if any team did, filled 2 specific roles that they were looking to fill.
For sure. I'm excited. I kind of like what the Archers did too. I thought they might take Zed Williams, maybe ahead of the Whipsnakes. They ended up, opting to take Eli Gobrecht, but, that defense, again, is going to be scary, and I think he's a good guy to, start in that starting 3 on defense, especially if, Jackson Place isn't able to recover right away at the beginning of the season. We don't really know where he's at in his recovery, but we know that, he's dealing with a major neck injury, so I think they did a pretty good job. And then Christian Mazzone as well, adding him. He had a great season in the MLL last year with the Blaze. I think that's a good replacement for Danny Ipe and Ben McIntosh that they lost in the expansion draft. But yeah, overall, I think, a really fun entry draft. I think a lot of teams did really well. Going off of that, Joe, we want to kind of dive in a little bit to your PLL stats a little bit. Something you guys just started, you and your fellow analyst, Jake Watts. You ran Moneyball Lacrosse previously. So kind of talk us through this latest initiative with the PLL and what you're most excited about unveiling in the coming months.
We're looking at the game a little differently than it's been looked at before, right? Traditionally, you only see goals, assists, ground balls, shots in the box score. Hopefully, we're going to bring a little more light and spark some more conversations, sort of breaking those shots down into assisted shots versus unassisted shots, right? Rolling out shot charts. Giving the fans a little more context, making them smarter fans, right? So we can have educated discussions, talk about stuff like, does Rob Pannell fit on the Atlas? Does he fit on an attack line with 3 right-handed attackmen? What does that sort of team look like? What are the best teams? Do they have a balance of on and off ball guys? Do they have 6 guys who can do a little bit of both? Do they have 3 righties and 3 lefties? What is the right balance that makes an offense tick? And again, circling back to my point earlier on Zach Currier, the main takeaway from year 1 PLL stats is that transition wins in this league. Transition dominates. 20% of shots were taken on fast breaks, and another 10% were taken in slow breaks, substitute settings. So it's 30% of shots right there that are taken in unsettled situations before you have your offensive midfielders on the field, really. So the teams that are able to dominate in those settings are the teams that win. So making fans smarter, to be focused on the stuff that actually matters is the main goal of PLL stats, and hopefully drumming up some more intelligent debate.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I really appreciated, your conversation and presentation at LaxCon, kind of talking about, the importance of the 2-man game, especially in the PLL. And it kind of, challenged my preconceived notions about, alley dodging and Kind of what I was taught in high school and even in college, with dodging down the alley, move the ball through X. You kind of pointed out that the most effective teams last season, and you think going forward, are going to be the ones that can really work those two-man games, the mumbo sets off the wings. So tell me a little bit more about that, kind of what you kind of spoke on at LaxCon a little bit.
Yeah, so that presentation was about finding shots with sticks to your middle. More specifically, assisted shots with sticks to the middle, right? So Coach Huntley found that wherever you are on the field, it doesn't matter. Your shooting percentage skyrockets when your stick is towards the inside, right? That's something that box lacrosse players abide by 99% of the time. They're not going to take a shot on the wrong side.
Mm-hmm.
Americans, on the other hand, American midfielders are kind of taught from a young age to initiate from up top, right, where you're splitting either lefty to your wrong side or righty to your wrong side. You have a two-way go, but both shots are with your stick to the outside. So those wing initiations kind of give you that option, right, to win top side to your strong hand, or you can get underneath and still shoot with your top hand. Those wing initiations, and more specifically the two-man games, are the ones that really put a lot of pressure on the defense and make them slide. The alley dodges, and especially in this league too, in the pros where defenses recover so fast, alley dodge, bang it through X and get it to the backside, doesn't really work. Defenses are right there. Those two-pass goals aren't as common as coaches would lead you to believe, at least in the pros.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, you talked about a little bit too how most goals were only, scored with one assist and not really that, hockey assist as we call it, or secondary assist. I think it's interesting. It makes a lot of sense too. You have your stick to the outside, you limit your angle on the goal. Even if your intention is to just work it through X, you don't really pose as much of a threat. We're definitely looking forward to seeing how teams implement that a little bit more. Not that it hasn't already been implemented, but kind of looking at it from that lens. And then going off of that too, I know the PLL has already they have the Unbuckled Chinstrap out. They have the Inside Feed. They mentioned they want to get to 6 podcasts. Are we going to see maybe a PLL Stats podcast creep up a little bit? Is that in the works?
If it is, I haven't heard about it.
All right, well, we'd like to hear that, I think. So maybe we shout that out a little bit.
I appreciate that.
I'm trying to think of ideas of what those other 4 podcasts could be, and that's one came to mind. I'm like, I'd listen to you and Jake Watts maybe talk some PLL stats.
Jake and I could talk stats all day. Jake's been doing great with the PLL stats. Super smart and passionate about the game. We could talk all day. I don't know how many people would want to listen. There are probably better topics we could have with some of these players and some of the members of the media team out in LA.
I guess so, but me and Adam would definitely listen. But anyway, Joe, it's been great having you on. Any parting thoughts on this entry draft that you want to leave with us?
What was your biggest surprise, Hutton? I didn't ask.
My biggest surprise, I actually kind of thought they might take Dillon Ward. I guess taking Eli Gobrecht, the Archers, I really thought that just given that there were so few offensive options in this draft, that I thought maybe the Archers would try to take, a Zed Williams or Christian Mazzone, and then maybe see where the defenders kind of shaped out. But they obviously really wanted Eli, and they got their guy, at 4. So I guess that's kind of my biggest surprise. I thought they really would go with a Zed Williams who could, provide them a little bit more of a spark on attack, as well as, that two-way midi role, given that they lost Ipe and Ben McIntosh. But, I guess that was my biggest surprise.
Yeah, I thought that might have been a nice fit, especially on that righty wing with Tom Schreiber. I guess they're comfortable, and I don't blame them for this, but they're just comfortable with Davey Emila being that picker for Tom Schreiber. That's obviously the big hole to fill, right, with Ben McIntosh on. And Davey Emila is one of the great off-ball players in this league. So I think Zed is more of that on-ball guy. He might pair better with an off-ball player with him, right? So like a Jay Carlson type guy on the Whip Snakes might be a better combo for Zed. I don't know how Zed and Schreiber would have worked. Would have loved to see it, but I guess defense was the need for the Archers and for almost everybody in this draft, so they addressed it.
Yep, no, and it was really hard to kind of just pick who was going to go first of these polls. I mean, I got into a discussion with a guy. He thought I should have ranked Craig Chick higher. And I think Craig Chick might be arguably one of the versatile poles in this draft, but there's just so many talent, it's whether you want experience or, youth. You had, young guys like Ryland Rees and Craig Chick, but you also had Bernhardt, Jason Noble. And then you guys, in between that have a little of experience under the belt, but, like Eli Gobrecht and Finn Sullivan. So it was definitely a stacked draft for defense. And I think a lot of teams got better defensively. But, with that, that kind of wraps up our first part of the podcast. Joe, we appreciate you coming on. Hopefully you enjoyed it. And, best of luck in your future PLL endeavors. We'll be watching your breakdowns and reading your articles for sure.
Appreciate it. Thanks for having me on, guys.
Thank you for listening to another episode of the Pro Lacrosse Talk Podcast. Today I want to talk to you about our sponsor, Anchor. We've been using Anchor for the Pro Lacrosse Talk Podcast since the very start. Anchor gives you everything you need in one place, and better yet, it's free. They allow you to easily record and edit your podcast, and once it's published, they send it out to all the major networks such as Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, and many more. They also connect you with advertisers so you can start making money from your podcast right away. So if you're thinking about starting a podcast today, download the Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. Today's show is being brought to you in part by Stitcher Premium. You can use Stitcher Premium to listen to shows ad-free such as Conan O'Brien Needs a Friend, My Favorite Murder, Wolverine the Lost Trail, or our favorite, The Fantasy Footballers. For only $4.99 a month or $34.99 a year, you get access to Stitcher Originals, bonus episodes, and comedy albums. Better yet, if you go over to Stitcher.com/premium and use the promo code LACROSSE today, you can get 1 month free. So head on over to Stitcher, sign up, and get your free trial today. All right, so welcome back. That was our interview with Joe Keegan. We really appreciate Joe coming on. He provides some great insight on not only, these picks that these players, not only the picks that these coaches made, but, a little bit of, some potential shakeup that could have occurred before, but, all these teams decided to stay put with their picks. And they draft in the order that they got in the lottery, and they drafted in the order that they were assigned through the lottery. And I think, every team got better because of it. But with that, let's kind of listen to some of what these players had to say and their reactions. So we'll start off with the number 1 pick overall, Zach Currier, and hear what he had to say. I'm here with Zach Currier, the newest member of the Waterdogs Lacrosse Club. Zach, tell me what was your reaction when you found out you were drafted number 1 overall by the Waterdogs?
I'm excited. I was looking up and down the roster as I was about all the other teams in the draft, and I thought that was realistically the best fit for me, just seeing the guys that Coach Copelan had picked up in the expansion draft. And I think there's a lot of guys on that roster that are very talented players, and I can't wait to get started.
No, that's great. And what are you looking forward to most this season in joining the PLL?
I'm looking forward to pushing the ball in transition. I think the rules are geared towards my game pretty heavily, which I'm excited about. And I'm excited to just have some people finally see me play. I feel like I was at Princeton and we were on TV a couple times, but I never made it to the tournament. And then the MLL didn't really have the biggest viewership. So the fact that the league's on NBC is pretty cool. And I'm excited about that. And then obviously just the entire landscape of the league. We get to tour around to new places every weekend and spread the game of lacrosse to people and make new friends and bring new fans to the game. So I'm excited for a lot of things. So it's pretty tough for me to kind of pinpoint one thing, but I'm pretty pumped overall.
I'm here with Jesse Bernhardt, the newest member of the Chrome Lacrosse Club. Congratulations. Tell me what your reaction was when you found out you were drafted by the Chrome.
Thanks. I appreciate it. Definitely excited. I think, just overall having the opportunity to come over to PLL, that within itself was great. And then, a good group of players coming over in this draft. So you kind of never really know where you're going to kind of fall. I haven't spoke to a few of the teams, leading up to the draft, but a lot of those guys on that team, a few of them I've crossed paths with, playing with Team USA and things of that nature. And I know a lot of those guys have played together for a long time, and they're always a tough squad, and they played hard and competed, which was something that definitely was exciting to hear and see when I got picked by those guys. So I had a good conversation with Coach Sudan, and definitely just pumped to get the summer going.
No, that's awesome. And what are you looking forward to most this coming season?
I think just getting back out there to play is always always one. Just seemed like we have such a long time off between seasons, but again, I think the opportunity just to step back on the field with definitely the best in the world, and kind of step into a new environment and new experience. Doing this for a few years now, I think having a little rejuvenation in that sense is something that I'm looking forward to. And again, like I said before, I think a great group of guys on the Chrome, which I'm excited to get with.
No, that's great. And I got to ask one final question. How's the matchup going to be between you and your brother Jake when you guys play the Whips? Is there going to be some trash talk leading up to that game?
There might be. I was actually going back and forth with John Hoss a little bit today before that stuff, and we were kind of talking about some things I had heard, and I think, and again, I'll have to give him credit, and maybe the PLL will have to trademark it for him, but it's going to be the little brothers versus the big brothers with me and Will Hoss versus Jake and John Hoss. So it definitely will be exciting. Hopefully, he doesn't try to stay on the offensive end too much. So we'll see.
No, we're looking forward to that matchup for sure. Well, we appreciate it, Jesse. Best of luck and congratulations again.
Thanks, Hutton. Appreciate it.
I'm here with Eli Gobrecht, one of the newest members of the Archers Lacrosse Club. Eli, tell me, what was your reaction when you found out you were drafted by the Archers?
I was really excited. Coach Bates called me probably a couple minutes before the pick went out, just to let me know that they were going to pick me, and I was really excited to get that call, and I'm excited to be with this group.
And this is going to be your first season in the PLL, so what excites you the most about joining this new league?
It was fun watching last year. They did a really good job with the media side and obviously being on NBC, but I got to be honest, I'm really, really excited to play with Tom Schreiber. I think he's one of, if not the best player in the world right now, so that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, no, it's great. We're looking forward to watching you with the Archers, and then anybody on that defense you're really looking forward to playing with?
Yeah, I just talked to Matt McMahon a little bit. I've been watching him for a while. I really like his game, so I'm excited to play with him. And then with Scott Ratliff as well. And we got a couple great goalies back there as well, and Drew Adams and Adam Gittleman.
Yeah, no, you guys are going to be a force on defense. Well, we look forward to watching you play this season with the Archers. Best of luck.
Yeah, I can't wait, man. Summer can't come soon enough.
I'm here with Finn Sullivan, the newest member of the Redwoods Lacrosse Club. Finn, tell me what your reaction was when you found out you were drafted by the Redwoods.
I was so fired up, man. The Redwoods were definitely on a short list of teams that I was hoping I'd end up falling to or going to, and I was just so fired up. I think the first thing I got was like a Twitter notification, obviously with the draft on Twitter. So before I even got like a text or anything from Coach Nat, I found out on Twitter, and I was all fired up with my wife here at the house. So just stoked. Obviously, they have such a good defense with Garrett Epple, Eddie Gleisner, John Sexton, like all those guys, Timmy Troutner. So I'm just fired up to join them down at training camp and fit in any way I can,
For sure. I actually thought you would be a perfect fit for them. You were on my mock draft board of going to the Redwoods, so I'm glad you landed there. But tell me what you're looking forward to most this season.
Definitely, just joining the Woods, obviously. I'm pumped about that. I think it is funny, too. I noticed right away that, I lost in the MLL championship last year, and obviously have a horrible taste in my mouth about that. And obviously the Redwoods dropped the title to the Whip Snakes last year in the PLL. So I'm just pumped to, kind of join forces with these guys. We all got the same goal. We're sort of pissed off about how our seasons ended last year, and that's what I'm most looking forward to, I guess, is kind of sharing in that revenge goal with my new teammates. So pumped to do that, get started.
All right, so I'm here with Dillon Ward, the newest member of the Chaos Lacrosse Club. Dillon, tell me, what was your reaction when you found out you were drafted by the Chaos?
Yeah, pretty excited. Pretty familiar with a lot of those guys on the roster, and you see what they were able to do last year, and pretty close to getting to a championship game, and hopefully I can add some value there, and just excited to get the season rolling with them.
Great, and we're looking forward to watching you. And what are you looking forward to the most?
I think just the competition, and you look at every roster top to bottom, and there's some great players, and And it's just going to be exciting to play with some guys that I've played with in the past, and also some guys that I've never played with, but heard some great things. So it's going to be a fun summer.
All right, well, we're looking forward to watching you in cage, Dillon. Best of luck this summer with the Chaos.
Thank you, appreciate that.
I'm here with Ryland Rees, one of the newest members of the Waterdogs Lacrosse Club. Ryland, tell me, what was your reaction when you found out you were drafted by Coach Copelan in the Waterdogs?
I was stoked. I didn't find out until the tweet came out, but it was just waiting for my name to be called, and then to hear the Waterdogs pitch me up was pretty great. Getting back to play with Brody Merrill and Zach Currier and Wesley Bird, so a couple fellow Canadians on that team for me, but I couldn't be more excited.
Yeah, definitely a strong Canadian influence on this Waterdogs team. But Ryland, tell me, what are you looking forward to most in joining the PLL this season?
I'm just looking forward to competing against the best level of lacrosse in the world and being a part of something that's different in this new league. So I think a little bit of change is good, and just excited to go out and compete.
All right, well, thank you, Ryan. We appreciate your time, and best of luck with the Waterdogs this summer.
Thank you very much.
I'm here with Craig Chick, one of the newest members of the PLL Atlas. Craig, congratulations on getting drafted by the Atlas. What was your reaction when you found out you were going to be joining the Bulls?
Yeah, I was just excited, and completely blessed. It's going to be a great opportunity, and it was a team that I was excited to see that would pick me up, and I can't wait to get after it with them. It's going to be a lot of fun. And
what are you looking forward to most this coming summer in joining the PLL?
Competing at the highest level. I think that whole league is filled with competitors and guys that love to win and love to compete, and that's kind of how I see myself. So I can't wait to see what they're all about and get after it and fight to win for a championship with Atlas.
Yeah, well, we're definitely looking to seeing you take the field with the Atlas this summer, so best of luck.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
All right, I'm here with Christian Mazzone, the newest member of the Archers Lacrosse Club. Christian, tell me, what was your reaction when you found out you were drafted by the Archers?
Yeah, so I actually got a call from Coach Bakes a couple picks before, which I appreciate very much because I was sweating it out a little bit. But he just spoke to me for a little bit and told me that they were going to select me. And I was just excited. Archers are a great fit, I think. I think there's a lot of Long Island guys, which I like. And I'm just excited to get out there and get to training camp with the boys.
Yeah, no, for sure. And, you're joining the PLL after a very productive season with the Blaze last season in the MLL. What are you looking forward to the most, though, joining the PLL this summer?
Yeah, so, I'm a lacrosse fan by nature. I love watching lacrosse. I watched a lot of the PLL games this summer. And I just think what they've done with the sport is really cool and interesting. And it provides a much, better product with the shortened field, reduced shot clock, and I really think I fit in well with that. I've always been a guy who just loves to stay on the field, to be honest, and I think I can be successful in this league with those new rules and the style of play, and I'm just excited to finally get out there and show my abilities.
We're looking forward to watching you with the Archers, so best of luck this summer.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it.
So, Adam, we just heard from a bunch of those players and, their reaction. But before we kind of get going here, I want to just ask you, what team do you think kind of did the best in the draft? I know we talked a little bit about Joe, but what team do you think is set up for the most success this coming season?
I talked about the Woods filling some holes with Finn Sullivan and Greg Puskeljian at faceoff. But I know it's kind of cheating, but I think the Waterdogs probably had the best draft out of anyone. Joe talked about top transition teams were in the championship last year, and they got two of arguably already the best transition players in the league, in Zach Currier, who can play defense and offense, and Ryland Rees, who can push the ball as an LSM. So I think that Waterdogs team was stacked already, and they add two players that can only help that offense and defense as well. So I'm going Waterdogs, but it's tough to pick, but I think they got two of the most impactful players in this draft.
Yeah, no, and I agree with you 100%. And I liked, too, you mentioned the Redwoods. I really like Finn Sullivan going to this Redwoods team because we really do have a bunch of question marks around Matt Landis with his military commitment. Finn Sullivan can step in, no problem, kind of replaces a Brian Karalunas type of player. And I think this Redwoods defense is going to be just as good as last year. And yeah, again, we talked about they didn't really lose many people in that expansion draft. They traded for Miles Jones. So they have a force at the midfield. I think right now they're the most complete team. You got Timmy Troutner in cage, and if he starts to falter, you got Jack Kelly right behind him. So Redwoods, for me, I think they addressed their two needs in this draft, adding Greg Puskalajian, who was a great face-off guy with the Lizards last season. So they're my team right now. And one team that kind of left our head scratching a little bit is the Chaos, and not because we don't think Dillon Ward is great. If you've listened to any of our NLL recaps, we've been singing his praises probably to no end. But it didn't really make sense to us for why they would take him at 7 when they still had some needs at short stick defensive midi, where they could have taken a TJ Camizio and then some more at pole. So how do you feel about the Chaos after this draft?
I can never go against someone taking an all-world goalie in Dillon Ward. I think he's a top 3-5 goalie in the world right now, whether you're talking about box or outdoor. And Joe talked about Coach Towers looking to fill a spot on that 18-man roster, and backup goalie was one of them currently. And obviously Dillon slides right into that second goalie spot pretty seamlessly. But at the same time, you do have the reigning goalie of the year on your team. You're telling me a guy like Ryland Rees wouldn't make that 18-man roster? I don't know. I think if you're talking about impact, Dillon Ward, if anything, he'd replace the goalie of the year, which is what you expect him to be. Jason Noble could be very good, but we just haven't seen it.
Yeah, no, I agree with you on the Chaos. Again, I don't think any of these players makes a team worse. It's just how much more value you could have gotten maybe from taking like a Ryland Rees, or I think like I said, it's TJ Camizio to replace that what they lost in McClancy. But overall, great drafts for all teams. You got a lot of talent coming into this league, and we're looking forward to watching them in 2020. On Thursday, we're going to do a giveaway with Lac Straps. We partner with them. Lac Straps does a great job, with supporting special causes. They look a lot better than if you're just taping it up. And so we love what Lac Straps is doing with that. And we thought, during these trying times where many people aren't able to play, to remember that lacrosse is the medicine game. So we have a Lacrosse is Medicine strap coming on Thursday. You guys can enter to win by following us on Instagram and tagging 3 people in the comments, as well as following Lac Straps on Instagram as well. We appreciate them partnering with us on this. Hopefully we can provide a little bit of some positivity during these trying times during the spring season. But with that, though, that wraps up our podcast. If you guys enjoyed this episode, please leave us a review, like us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, wherever you listen to podcasts. And be sure to follow Joe Keegan on Twitter. He's at Joe Keegs on Twitter. Also, check out all these players that we interviewed. They're really excited to join the PLL, and we're excited to watch them on NBC this season. But with that concludes our podcast. We hope you guys enjoyed, and thank you for listening to Pro Lacrosse Talk. Today's show is being brought to you in part by Stitcher Premium. You can use Stitcher Premium to listen to shows ad-free such as Conan O'Brien Needs a Friend, My Favorite Murder, Wolverine the Lost Trail, or our favorite, The Fantasy Footballers. For only $4.99 a month or $34.99 a year, you get access to Stitcher Originals, bonus episodes, and comedy albums. Better yet, if you go over to Stitcher.com/premium and use the promo code LACROSSE today, you can get 1 month free. So head on over to Stitcher, sign up, and get your free trial today.